The American Spotlight studio glows under the lights, ready for what feels more like a national showdown than a standard broadcast. But today isn't about entertainment. It's about confrontation. The atmosphere is charged, ready to ignite. All eyes are focused on two figures who've dominated social media chatter all week. Karoline Leavitt, the youngest person ever to serve as White House press secretary, steps forward with a confident smile and focused eyes, clearly prepared to reveal something significant. Across from her sits Trevor, the well-known comedian and viral satirist. His arms are folded, trademark smile in place, though a flicker of tension suggests he's bracing for impact. The audience sits in tense anticipation. Cameras close in tightly, and veteran host Jack Harper, his voice deep and steady, opens the segment. Welcome to American Spotlight. Tonight isn't just about dialogue. It's a collision of perspectives, humor versus fact. Karoline Leavitt, you've suggested you're bringing something to the table that might leave Trevor speechless. Is this your response to the clip that sparked such an uproar on X? Leavitt leans toward the microphone, her tone measured. Trevor isn't merely a comedian. He's a strategist, using humor to push personal bias and undermine those with differing views. And if he thinks I came here unprepared, he's clearly underestimated women from New Hampshire. The crowd reacts with cheers. Trevor chuckles. Karoline, is this a political thriller or just Mar-a-Lago fan fiction? Laughter breaks out across the studio, but Harper cuts through the noise. Karoline, let's get specific. What exactly is this secret you're referring to? Leavitt smiles with intent. Just wait. Trevor might end up retreating from his own punchlines. As she prepares to dive deeper, Harper reminds viewers to comment where they're watching from and subscribe for more episodes. The audience's reaction is a mix of claps and jeers, resembling a live debate more than a scripted program. Karoline. Leavitt sits tall, gaze fixed on Trevor like a strategist preparing a decisive move. Trevor, arms still folded, maintains his grin, but a subtle finger tap on the table hints at his calculating mindset. Jack Harper, skilled at heightening tension while maintaining balance, leans in again. Karoline, you just accused Trevor of using humor to mislead. Do you have anything to support that? Leavitt's voice remains calm but direct. Jack, I didn't come here for theatrics or to play a role in a televised feud. She briefly scans the audience before focusing back on without hesitation. He's turned The Daily Show into a messaging tool, targeting President Trump with jokes crafted more to influence than entertain. He calls it comedy. I call it a smear campaign. Karoline leans in slightly, her voice lower but firm. And I have something more than speculation. I've got facts. Facts that will let this audience see who Trevor really is. She pauses, eyes scanning as if challenging him to interrupt. Trevor laughs aloud and leans into the mic. Karoline, you honestly think my jokes are strong enough to shake Trump? I just say what everyone's already thinking. A president sending midnight tweets and calling it policy. He pauses, then adds with a sharper tone. If that's propaganda to you, maybe take a look in your own mirror. Or better yet, the one at Mar-a-Lago. The audience erupts, half cheering, half booing. Karoline doesn't waver. Her lips curve slightly. Good one, Trevor. You're skilled at deflection. But the public isn't blind. They know this isn't just light-hearted humor. Her gaze intensifies, voice cutting through the noise. You choose your targets carefully. President Trump, the MAGA movement, and fire off jokes wrapped in sugar. I'm here to strip away that sweet layer. Can you handle the truth about your own act? She puts weight on the word truth, and the crowd reacts with loud demands. Let's hear it, Karoline. Shakes his head, his tone still mocking, but with a slight edge. Truth? Karoline, you're delivering a performance, written, directed, and starring Donald Trump. He shrugs, though the quickening rhythm of his finger taps on the table suggests unease. If you've got something real, lay it out. Just don't expect applause for your monologue. Jack Harper, sensing the rising tension in the studio, Jumps in. Trevor, it's clear Miss Leavitt has something she's holding back. She says it's a truth that could change everything. Are you concerned, or is this just another one of her setups? The question escalates the energy in the tie. Room? The crowd shouts from both sides. One person waves a Trump sign while another yells, "Trevor's untouchable." Trevor replies, voice firmer now. Worried, Jack? I've sat in this chair and faced everything, from elected officials to digital mobs. He crosses his arms, his expression resolute, but the sweat glistening under the lights betrays the pressure. If Karoline thinks quoting Trump's script will shut me up, she's mistaken. Let's hear it, Karoline. I'm right here. Karoline smiles, cold and calculated. Oh, Trevor, you won't be waiting much longer, but I'd suggest you brace yourself. What I'm about to say? It's not a punchline. It's a turning point for how this audience sees you. She pauses deliberately, letting the silence stretch, stirring whispers across the crowd. Someone calls out, "Let's hear it, Karoline. Let's hear it." Harper says with a sly smile, turning up the tension. Karoline, the entire studio is hanging on your words. You've hinted at something that could expose Trevor. Are we talking about his past? Or is this something more current? The question stills the room. All eyes shift to Leavitt. She tilts her head, her voice low but cutting. Jack, let's just say it's a truth Trevor can't laugh his way out of. He loves playing the justice crusader on television, but what I've got will tear that mask away. Her eyes lock onto Noah's, sharp and unyielding. Noah, no longer smiling, leans in. Karoline, you're treading on dangerous ground. If you're making claims, you'd better make them count, because when I respond, it won't be with jokes. His tone is firm, the humor drained from his voice. Leavitt sits taller, her expression blazing with conviction. Across the table, Noah grips the edge, the smirk on his face thinned, his eyes shifting between confidence and something more uncertain. The audience holds its breath, tension thick in the air. Whispers ripple through the crowd as speculation mounts. Cameras zoom in on the beads of sweat on Noah's brow and Leavitt's composed, icy smile. Host Jack Harper, ever the composed anchor with a knack for drama, leans slightly toward Leavitt. Karoline, you've got this entire studio holding its breath. You called Trevor a manipulator using comedy as a shield. What evidence do you have to support that? The studio falls into near silence. Only the hum of live-streaming devices cuts through the stillness. Leavitt rises slowly, a slim folder in her hands. Under the stage lights, she stands like a commander ready for battle. Her voice is steady but direct, every word aimed with purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, Trevor Noah likes to present himself as a defender of truth, a comedian just trying to entertain. But I have evidence, not opinions. Verified documentation. Proving he's misled his audience, She pauses, breath steady, before delivering the blow. Over the course of 3 years hosting The Daily Show, Trevor Noah received $2.5 million from a San Francisco-based nonprofit funded by anti-Trump billionaires. The goal? To produce comedic content aimed at discrediting President Trump and the MAGA movement, to erode public trust. She lifts a page from the file and holds it up. I have emails from Trevor's own team discussing strategies to spike ratings by targeting the president. And this, she gestures to another document, is a contract worth $122 million, explicitly for politically charged segments. Her gaze shifts back to Noah, firm and unwavering. Is that comedy, Trevor? Or did your platform become a vehicle for profit-driven propaganda? She raises the folder high, her voice firm and final. The audience deserves honesty, but you chose money over truth. The crowd erupts, cheers and outrage clashing in the air. One group shouts, "Noah sold," out, while another counters with, "Leavitt's lying." Cameras pan to the documents in her hand, then to Noah's face. His expression frozen, a flicker of both disbelief and rising anger behind his eyes. Harper cuts back in, his tone thick with suspense. "Trevor, this is a serious accusation," Harper says, turning to Noah. "Specific figures, actual documents. Do you have a response for the audience?" Noah springs to his feet, gripping the microphone, his voice firm though there's a tremor beneath it. Karoline, you think waving papers and spouting made-up numbers will make me back down? He continues, voice gaining strength but still tight with tension. Those documents, they're fake. The Daily Show is funded by Comedy Central, not by some secretive billionaires with political agendas. I haven't taken a single cent to smear Trump, and I never would. A few in the audience nod, whispering. Noah doesn't slow down. What I say on stage is backed by facts, like Trump tweeting over 200 times in 2020 to bash the media, or the 12 times he called the pandemic a hoax. This isn't spin, it's reality. Meanwhile, look at his own team, scripted spin every day. Cheers erupt from sections of the audience, some raising Trevor's untouchable signs. But boos from MAGA supporters clash with the noise, stirring chaos. Leavitt cuts in, voice sharp. Trevor, you're good at dodging, but you can't outrun the truth. She lifts another page. This email from your executive producer says it clearly. We need to ramp up anti-Trump content to keep young viewers engaged. And this contract, signed by you, outlines a $1.2 million deal for a targeted media campaign. She flips a page, mock reading with precision. Focus on controversial topics to maximize engagement. That's you, Trevor. Or are we calling that artistic creativity now? Someone from the crowd yells, "Read it all, Karoline!" Noah leans forward, his voice low but defiant. You're staging a cheap drama. If you've got those emails, read them. If you've got a contract, show the nation. But be warned, faking documents live on air is career suicide. The crowd stills, tension hums in the silence. I've been doing comedy for 15 years, Noah says, gaze sweeping the studio. And every joke I make is based in truth. Like when Trump called climate change a Chinese hoax in a speech, not a skit. Karoline, who's paying you to peddle this trash? He turns to the crowd, raising a hand. Who here sees this for what it is? A dirty setup? But Leavitt, unfazed, smiles like a strategist who's just tightened the noose. Trevor, you're a skilled performer, but this act is closing fast. She leans in, eyes steady. Beyond emails and contracts, I have a video, filmed behind the scenes at The Daily Show. You say, and I quote, "We need to target Trump to keep ratings. That's the strategy." She glances at Harper. Jack, should we play that clip? Harper, sensing the moment's heat, doesn't hesitate. If there's a video, Karoline, millions of viewers are watching. Trevor, are you ready to face it? Noah shakes his head, his voice sharpening. She's bluffing. That video, if it even exists, is a deepfake. I'm not afraid of the truth, but I won't stand by while I'm slandered. The crowd murmurs. Some shift in their seats. The tension is now thick as smoke. Leavitt eases back in her chair, her voice calm but edged with victory. Call it slander if you want, Trevor, but the truth doesn't need your permission. She faces the camera, eyes locked like a verdict. What I'm about to show will shatter the illusion of your truth-teller image. Across from her, Noah stands tall again, no longer gripping the table, fists unclenched, his stance like a fighter in a ring. Leavitt's icy smile doesn't waver. Like a chess player waiting for the final blunder, Harper turns to the camera, voice rich with tension. Trevor, you've brought facts, but Karoline has documents, emails, and now a video. The world's watching. Karoline, he says it's fake. What's your reply? Leavitt lifts her chin slightly, voice poised and cool. Jack, Trevor can deny it all he wants. The truth doesn't care what he believes. The video is real, and I'll play it when the time is right. Her eyes settle on Noah, but first I want to hear his answer. Noah's eyes flared with fury and a crackling disappointment. His voice wavered as it started, then formed into a tremor of defiance. Karoline, you want a debate? I'm right here. But let's be honest, you're not here for the truth. You're here to perform for Trump. He turned to the studio. Audience, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. If you've got a video, play it. If not, stop this circus. The people deserve better. He raised his hand slowly, scanning the crowd. "Who's with me?" The studio ignited. Cheers thundered from one side. Others jeered, fists in the air, phones raised to capture the storm. The air was thick, charged like the seconds before. A lightning strike. Trevor Noah stood tall, a burning torch in the storm, yet his shoulders sagged just slightly, like a warrior growing tired of the battlefield. Karoline Leavitt sat unmoved, her smile subtle and cold as moonlight reflected. On ice, she looked like she'd already won. The audience split like a crashing wave, half chanting, "Trevor, Trevor," while the other half roared back, MAGA hats raised high. Cameras caught every twitch, every breath, Noah's clenching jaw, Leavitt's poised serenity. Host Jack Harper, voice calm but pulsing with energy, leaned forward. "Trevor, the audience is waiting." A hush. Then Leavitt leaned into the mic, her tone as sharp as a blade honed for this very strike. "Jack, Trevor has no answer because he knows I'm right. He built a career attacking President Trump. He picked a side, not to enlighten but to entertain. And now, when exposed, he dodges. Trevor, if you really stand for truth, stay. Watch the video, or prove to everyone you're no different from those you've mocked." She let the words linger. A challenge with fangs. Noah's eyes blazed, pain, fury, disbelief, and he stood abruptly. The mic shook in his hand, his voice cracked from dryness but cut like iron. "Karoline, you think a video, unseen, unverified, can destroy me? I'm not here to play your rigged little game. I've spent my life fighting lies with laughter, not with smoke and mirrors." He turned to the audience, then to the cameras. "I've hosted over 200 episodes of The Daily Show. I've called out everyone. Trump's 1,900 false claims, Biden's 450 dodges. I've never worked for applause or agendas. I've worked to make people think." He paused, eyes locking on Leavitt. "Meanwhile, you stand here defending a man whose rallies cost taxpayers $3.2 million in security since 2022. I'm not scared of you or your video, but I refuse to be part of this media ambush." Noah stepped back from the mic. The studio held its breath. "I'm leaving, not because I lost, but because I won't sell myself to this circus." He dropped the mic onto the table. The clack rang out like a gavel ending a trial. He turned, walking off the set as the lights cast him, in silhouette. A tragic hero or a fallen titan, depending on which side you asked. The audience exploded. Applause collided with boos like thunder over a battlefield. One half chanted, "Trevor, come back," while the MAGA section roared, "He gave up." The cameras followed his back as he walked into shadow, shoulders straight again, unbent, but bruised. Karoline didn't miss a beat. She rose, voice clear and confident. "Ladies and gentlemen, Trevor just showed you who he is. When faced with the truth, he chose to run. I came here to defend President Trump and millions of Americans from those who use laughter to divide. Trevor talks about the truth. His truth vanished the moment I asked questions." She turned toward the camera, her gaze a declaration of war. "America, we fight for you, and I'm not done." Jack Harper, sensing the historical gravity, stepped with finality. "Tonight, we witnessed a moment this nation won't forget. Thank you for watching. Until next time." The studio was chaos, half erupting in chants, the other whispering, streaming, posting. Behind the scenes, producer Sarah grabbed her head and whispered to an assistant, "This is a disaster, or TV gold." And outside the studio, the real war began. Social media detonated like fireworks soaked in gasoline. Noah walks out and Leavitt triumph soared to global trending within 15 minutes, outpacing sports events, music releases, and political rallies. A viral TikTok played Noah's exit in slow motion with the caption, "When you choose dignity, but drama still finds you." And somewhere on X, an account with 2 million followers simply posted, "One walked away, one stayed with receipts. Choose your fighter." Trevor doesn't reply to the message. He stares at it for a long time, the glow of the screen painting his face in hues of melancholy and quiet fire. Around him, the apartment is still. The noise is all out there, in feeds, in headlines, in hashtags. Here, There is only silence. He exhales slow and heavy, as if the weight of a country's discourse sits squarely on his shoulders. He walks to the window, looks out over the city. Lights twinkle below. Somewhere, a siren wails in the distance. Across the river, in a sleek Washington, D.C. office, Karoline Leavitt is wide awake. Her team is buzzing, phones ringing like war drums. PR advisors, campaign strategists, media liaisons, all gathered. Around her like knights before a queen. But Leavitt is calm, ice in her veins. She watches the replay of the confrontation in silence. When it ends, she looks at her team, voice low but coldly triumphant. We didn't just win a debate, we redefined the battlefield. Meanwhile, American Spotlight's official YouTube post of the full showdown shatters all expectations. 30 million views in 24 hours. Comment sections ignite, each thread its own ideological trench. Conspiracy theories brew. Fan edits appear. Politicians from both sides tweet carefully worded statements. The White House press secretary is asked about the debate in a briefing, deflects with a smile. We encourage healthy dialogue in the media. In the weeks that follow, everything changes. Leavitt gets invited to major primetime shows. A publisher offers her a book deal. Behind the mic, The Night I Faced Trevor Noah. Protesters line up outside the American Spotlight building. Free speech advocates hold rallies. Meanwhile, Noah disappears from the public eye. No tweets, no appearances. Until a quiet post appears on his official X account, a black and white photo of the studio chair he left behind. Captioned, "Sometimes walking away speaks louder than staying seated." The post receives over 5 million likes in under 6 hours. The story doesn't die. It mutates. Late-night comedy sketches evolve into political commentary. University classrooms analyze the moment. Journalism schools debate ethics, ambush interviews, and the line between performance and truth. A documentary deal is rumored. Netflix, maybe HBO. In America, the name Noah versus Leavitt becomes shorthand for a larger cultural war. A moment no one can fully agree on, but no one will ever forget. And somewhere far from the spotlight, Trevor, Noah writes quietly in a notebook, and Leavitt rehearses for her next stage. The world, still spinning, now turns a little more sharply. But even as the noise settles, a strange silence echoes in Trevor Noah's New York apartment. Though resilient, he feels a loneliness rare and sharp. He scrolls through a South African article calling him a casualty of American politics. And suddenly, memories rise. His childhood in Johannesburg, the early days of doing stand-up in tiny clubs, and the hope he once carried across oceans. Comedy had been his bridge, not a battleground. Now that bridge feels burned at both ends. To many, his walkout became a symbol of principle. To others, he's just a man who gave up when it got too real. Yet Noah feels no regret. A single notebook, on his coffee table, filled with scattered ideas for a future project, flickers with promise. In this darkness, it's his only spark. Meanwhile, in Washington, Karoline Leavitt returns home, her energy charged like she just walked off a victorious battlefield. Her apartment feels warmer, lighter. Her husband, Nicholas Riccio, greets her with pride, phone still aglow with headlines like, "Leavitt silences Noah in historic showdown." She knows what this means. This wasn't just about Trump. It was about speaking for a movement, a moment, millions of voices. She felt it in her chest. This was bigger than her. Outside the echo chambers of the media, the public fuels the fire. In New York, university students host live-stream discussions praising Noah as a champion of conscience. Down in Texas, MAGA supporters raise funds in Leavitt's name, calling her a torchbearer of truth. The divide is now a fault line, deep and growing, with the American spotlight as its epicenter. What began as a talk show now echoes like a generational clash, where humor and hostility collide. Days later, Leavitt stands behind a podium at a brief press conference, flashbulbs cracking like thunder. Her voice steady, she addresses the nation. This battle was never just mine. It was for all those tired of twisted narratives. I'll keep fighting, not to win arguments, but to build a future where truth matters again. Her words hit like a manifesto, a young, unshakable woman refusing to back down. When the lights fade, she returns to her office, sips her tea, and stares out at a city asleep, her resolve hardening like steel. The story of Trevor Noah versus Karoline Leavitt is no longer just about two people. It's a mirror, a reflection, of a nation wrestling with identity, truth, and power. It began with Noah calling out falsehoods, and Leavitt firing back with allegations, but it exploded when one chose to walk away. And in that moment, everything changed. Platforms like X didn't just amplify the event, they devoured it, turning arguments into entertainment, turning beliefs into weapons. Noah sits alone, Leavitt stands tall, and the viewers remain divided. MAGA signs on one side, free speech banners on the other. The cost is not just in reputation or ratings, it's in trust, in the cracks widening across dinner tables, classrooms, and timelines. Yet, from this chaos, a lesson rises. That truth, real truth, can't survive in a war of reactions. It needs patience, dialogue, and a refusal to reduce everything to viral moments. Noah showed us that stepping back isn't always surrender. It can be resistance. Leavitt reminded us that conviction has power, even when it's polarizing. And the audience? We are the jury, not of who won the show, but who defends truth in the long run. So before we rush to post, share, or judge, let's pause. Ask questions, seek clarity, build bridges, not battlefields. Because in a world lit by the American spotlight, only those who carry truth, not just trends, will stand the test of time. Subscribe to the channel for the next chapter in this unraveling saga. Until then, stay questioning, stay grounded, and don't blink, because the battle for truth is far from over.